What does it mean in faith to be on fire, Frank? Have you heard people talk about being on fire, or maybe feeling like they're not on fire for Jesus anymore? Or
I mean, that language biblically really interests me when I hear it in church circles. And I've spent time in churches. A lot of my formational era was in churches that would talk like that. But in Scripture, fire is like this cleansing thing. It's almost this judging thing. It's this thing that's not going to be nice.
Funnily enough, in real life, not too nice either to be on fire.
Yeah, it's this kind of great purifier. But I know that's not what's being talked about in churches that use that language of being on fire. But I wanted to raise this issue now because at this time of the year, in my chaplaincy work and pastoral work, I know that this is the time of the year when a lot of people feel low. And they'll feel that lowness will translate into many parts of their life, how they feel about their relationships, how they feel about their work, if they're fortunate enough to have work, and a lot of people are out of work at the moment, so that will play as well. We've got the economy feeding into the whole thing, but a lot of people will be feeling like that because we've just been through winter. And I know we're in spring, but it always happens in the early part of spring. So we've had less vitamin D across winter. Our diets have looked different. They're not as colourful, so you're not getting as many of the vitamins and the minerals as you would usually get. You probably haven't been outside exercising as much and just enjoying the outdoors. So this is a period where people feel low.
I'm going to use that actually. I'm going to change the description of my diet from bad to different. Is what I'm going to tell you.
That's good.
It's been different. It's been different
because
over
a
the
winter diet, if you're following the seasonal stuff that's growing seasonally, has things that you need for winter. It's often higher in starch. It's a bit more carby, and I'm not talking about refined carbs. But that changes everything. But that can feed over into your sense of faith as well. That can be a seasonal thing that happens annually, but for a lot of people with faith too, you can hit a long period where faith can feel dry. So when you first come to faith and you first see Jesus, it's like the old school blue blocker ads where you'd see people in the infomercials sticking on the blue blockers and going, "Whoa, look at the colour."
Sunglasses for anyone who's
I remember those infomercials.
I'm showing my age.
Yeah.
You put the sunglasses on, you'd see the world in a different way, and everything would feel like it's lit up. There can be this danger of wanting faith or thinking that faith should feel like that all the time. So then if I'm not having these magical feelings somehow, or if I'm turning up at church, or if I'm reading my scripture, I'm trying to pray, and I'm just not feeling it, you can feel like faith is a failure somehow. Either you're a failure, or maybe this thing wasn't real, or maybe God's not happy with me, and you start to question everything. And if you're in environments that are teaching you that high emotional experience is what it's supposed to be like, you can fall into the danger of everything kind of slipping away. So I want to say this morning that we use the word mountaintops, that faith isn't always mountaintops. Often it's valleys, and often it's just long, flat plains. Where life just keeps going, and you learn to be faithful. If you look at the history of the Christian faith over the last 2,000 years, the majority of the Christian world has what we call saints. Now, all believers are saints in some way, but there's this group of people who have passed on that the majority of the church has looked at and gone, those people are worth emulating. They've embodied faith in such a way that we think that we want to hold them up. They're worth following. Almost every one of them to a T, if you examine their life, has had long periods where faith has not been magical. There's a guy called St. John of the Cross who termed the phrase the dark night of the soul, which can sound really, really morbid and low, but all he's talking about is that period where you don't feel God. God doesn't feel present. And then the question is, are you going to be faithful anyway? And through that, there's a lot of maturity that happens, and you learn to see and look for God in really different ways. So if you're feeling that lowness of faith at the moment, don't look to go back to that magical feeling that you had when you first believed. That's good, but it's like the early romance of a relationship. That won't sustain a relationship for the long term. You have an opportunity to mature here and go deeper. That's what I would encourage.
Wow, there's so many penny drop moments there for me. And people listening right now I think we'll be in the same boat. I'm glad you gave the encouragement at the end. You talk about periods, you talk about long spells, which to me, they mean finite. You know, what you're going through at the moment is finite and seasonal.
Yes.
And at the end of it, there is the summer.
Yeah, but it's not going to look like it did early in your relationship with God. It's going to look different. Might be calmer even than what you had right at the beginning. But there is something on the other side. And I just encourage you to keep going, remain faithful. There is something on the other side.
That's so good, Frank.
Trying to chase that high, eh? It's funny you bring up the relationship thing, because it's exactly what I was thinking about in terms of like, you know, like my relationship with my wife when we first met and you start dating and you're kind of like, you're just excited to learn about this person and they're just the most like wonderful thing ever and you're seeing newness all the time and you get nervous, all this kind of stuff. And then, you know, we've been together a long time now. We know each other way more deeply. Like our relationship is so much more rich.
Yeah.
But like, I don't get nervous around my wife anymore about wondering what she thinks of me or like, am I, you know, it changes how a relationship is. And if you're constantly looking for that, people end up walking away from relationships because they think they've lost. They're like, oh, where's our spark? Or where, you know, I don't have those butterflies anymore.
Actually, and that's also a really good reminder that when you know, we use the husband and wife scenario, you're curious at the very beginning and then you get to know them, you know them intimately, you know how they work and their rhythm. And then sometimes you might even take them for granted, you know, because you know their rhythm, you're in sync and all that. So this is another great reminder that to step out of that comfort zone as well and know that you need to keep digging into your relationship, keep asking questions, keep getting to know the person.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, put in the work, but then remember too that some of the most magical moments in a relationship and a marriage is when you get to that point where you can both sit in a room, not say anything together, not have any great, amazing mountaintop feelings about each other, but that comfort in that room because you know each other really well, that silence while you're just kind of doing your thing, that's magical.